Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the CEOs and the business owners of large and small companies who are here today, and also the U.S. employees who are here who's interested about this topic. My name is Kevin Thomas, and a little bit myself. I graduated from Stanford University in finance about 10 years ago, and I've been a moderating different panel discussion for 4 years now. And part of the topic today is outsourcing. We're going to be talking about the positive and negative side of outsourcing in U.S. economy today. We have a great panelist who's present here today. Just going down the road, first we have Daniel Sullivan, who's the CEO of Foxconn. That's a company that outsources for Apple products and so forth. And he graduated on Dean's List from St. Edward's University. Next we have Gal Avneri, who's the Chief Financial Operator of GE. He has traveled all around the world doing different projects for GE, and he's a Harvard grad in finance. Next we have Juan Garnay, who's the President of Manufacturing of IBM. He's born and brought up in Guatemala, and he's been a big part of IBM and has been a big change to the company ever since he joined that company. And last but definitely not the least, we have David Kitson, who's the Executive Manager of Singo. He started off as a customer rep a long time back, and he worked his way up all the way to his position, and he's well known for his outstanding work in this career. And a few ground rules for this panel discussion is that I'm going to be asking each one of them 3 questions, and they're going to have a minute 30 seconds to answer them. And at the end of the discussion, we'll have a 5-minute Q&A for any kind of question you guys will have. All right, so let's get started. First question will be for Daniel. What is your stand on this issue and why?
Well, once again, my name is Daniel Sullivan. I am for outsourcing. As Mr. Thomas said, I'm actually head of a major outsourcing organization. One of the main reasons I'm for it is because I believe it creates jobs for an increasingly global business world. For instance, business we at Foxconn receive from US companies like Apple, Dell, and HP allows us to employ 1.2 million people around the world, according to a study by CNET. Most of our employees are in China, but we also have many in countries like India and Brazil. And we also only make up a small portion of the total outsourced jobs around the globe. Countries from all over are doing business with one another and outsourcing their jobs across the world. And that's also leads me to my other point, that I believe outsourcing is largely responsible for making the business world much more globalized.
Thank you, Daniel. Next, Gal, what is your stand on this issue of outsourcing and why?
As Kevin said, my name is Gal Avneri, and I'm against outsourcing because of the different ethical and financial issues that are brought upon when outsourcing to different countries throughout the world. According to CNET, from the financial standpoint, outsourcing has become just as expensive as it is to hire more workers and bring jobs into America rather than outsourcing out to different countries. The thought that most people think is that to ship the jobs out of America is a lot cheaper. It's going to be a lot less expensive, but in reality, it's just as expensive as it would be to hire more workers to keep the jobs in America. From the ethical standpoint, outsourcing is terrible for the countries that are brought upon from the outsourcing, such as China, because the different workers are working in sweatshops. They're teenagers or children working in the sweatshops. They're not qualified workers. The work that's getting done overseas isn't very productive at all. So just from that standpoint, it's ethically wrong just to be outsourcing to people who aren't qualified for the work. And that's pretty much my stand on that.
There you go. Next one, what is your stand on this issue and why?
Hey, as Kevin said, my name is Juan Granay, and I'm for outsourcing because companies, by outsourcing in the superlative tasks, save money and costs dramatically. Outsourcing also helps companies on core activities, so they don't get distracted in secondary tasks. Companies benefit from best practices by outsourcing. They concentrate more on what they're best on, and don't waste energy and time training new employees and opening new departments, where there are companies that actually specialize on that topic and you can actually benefit from it. An example can be an oil company, which are experts in exploration and refining. But why shouldn't they outsource the financial accounting to another company that has invested and has developed an expertise in that topic? Thanks.
Thank you. Next, David, what is your stand on this issue and why?
Thank you, Kevin. As Kevin said, my name is David Kitson, and I am neither against nor in favor of outsourcing. Let me begin by stating that according to a business review, outsourcing is an umbrella term for several types of work arrangement, contracted by primary companies to a secondary company. Also, according to business review, outsourcing could be either the smartest practice since the development of the assembly line, or the most repugnant, directly responsible for exporting high-end paying jobs to the U.S., outside of the U.S. Also, outsourcing, the reason why I'm neither against nor in favor is because outsourcing does reduce the cost of production to many of the companies, yet it does, as stated previously, export most of this high-end paying jobs to different countries.
Thank you, David. Next, I'm on to the second question. We'll go through it, Daniel. What are the implications of outsourcing?
Well, I guess to elaborate on my first answer, I believe that the practice of outsourcing is bringing the world towards a more globalized business market. As an example, our relationship with the United States company Apple allows for conversation between people in the United States and people in China. And outsourcing in general requires a lot of such activity. People in one country communicating and interfacing and doing business with people in a completely separate country. And that's sort of the basis for how it's globalizing the business world. And the benefits of that are that, say a company needs a job done today, they can outsource that job to anyone, anywhere in the world who's best suited for the job. They're no longer limited to the people on their own soil. They can find someone wherever it may be, India, Russia, Pakistan, anywhere, as long as that person can do that job to the highest quality and for the lowest price, which is how I believe business should be done.
Thank you, Daniel. Go. What are the implications of outsourcing?
As I stated previously, there are severe implications when outsourcing, because not only are you taking advantage of the workers and the different people who are abroad, like I said previously, they're not qualified workers necessarily. More and more companies are beginning to realize that it's just as expensively to ship the job overseas than it is to keep the jobs in America. More implications lie when you begin talking about the conditions of the people that work overseas. These guys are working about 18 hours a day. They're working in sweatshops. They're sweating. They don't get any breaks, no lunch breaks, no dinner breaks. They're working nonstop, almost 18 hours a day. A great example of this is when Nike recently got caught shipping. They usually they outsource their shoemaking to companies in China. And they recently just got caught. The factories that the children are working in over there were horrible. There's like mold growing all over the place. This is really bad location and bad quality of business. That's that.
Thank you, Go. Next one. What are the implications of outsourcing?
Okay, as I mentioned before, outsourcing can be an effective weapon or choice for companies in order to save costs. In fact, more than 1/3 of the companies who outsource do so to save costs, according to ITT research firm. The cost reduced by a company by outsourcing includes labor costs, which reduces wages, and so the company has to pay less salaries. Budget of operations are also reduced, physical space is reduced, leading to a company to pay less rent and less taxes on the property. Time is gained, valuable time for the company, which can be used to focus on the core competencies of the company and not on the secondary tasks which another company can do for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. So David, what are the implications of outsourcing?
Thank you, Kevin. What are the implications of outsourcing? According to Business Source Complete, companies such as Ace Machine Company, Apple, Samsung have reduced their cost of production by outsourcing to developing countries such as China or Japan. Hence, by doing this, they're able to sell their product to reduce cost of production, as I previously mentioned, and they're able to also sell their products at a cheaper price throughout the United States. However, one problem that outsourcing does have is copyright infringement. Most of the companies that are, again, according to Business Source Complete, most of these countries who the companies outsource to have no real loss against copyright infringement. Therefore, the companies they're outsourcing to are able to copy and pirate their products across the globe. Also, another bad implications of outsourcing is high-paying jobs that America is exporting outside the United States. These jobs cause many. The export of these jobs cause some unemployment here in America, which most Americans could do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. So moving on to the next question, Daniel. How is outsourcing affecting the economy today?
Well, I believe that outsourcing is having a very positive effect on the Chinese economy, mainly in terms of job creation. According to sourcingline.com, over 27 million jobs are outsourced to China from foreign countries. These are jobs in fields like manufacturing, customer service, and computer programming. Most importantly, though, that means 27 million more employed Chinese citizens. And China, like so many other countries around the world, has taken a lot of hits in the economic sector in recent years. So it's important for us to have these jobs and to have money flowing into our country to keep unemployment down and to mainly have money in the hands of our citizens to buy products and services and just generally stimulate the economy both on a national and global level. And I'd say that's the last reason why I am heavily in favor of outsourcing.
Thank you. So, Bob, in your opinion, how is outsourcing affecting the economy today?
Outsourcing is affecting the economy because when you decide to outsource to different countries around the world, you're taking jobs away from the American people. As I said before, companies are beginning to realize that it's just as expensive to keep the jobs in America, so there's really no reason for jobs to continue outsourcing to different countries in America. When you create more jobs to the American people, the economy will eventually balance itself out. It will have a trickle-down effect on multiple different entities in the economy, which will therefore create a better economy for the American people. Essentially, the more jobs the American people have, the better the economy will do. According to a quote that President Obama said, "I also want to close those loopholes that are giving incentives for companies that are shipping jobs overseas. I want to provide tax breaks for the companies that are investing here in the United States." Pretty much saying that he wants to give incentives, give benefits, give tax breaks. He wants to encourage more companies to continue not to outsource, because he realizes that the more jobs that are in America, the better the economy will do.
Thank you, Carl. So moving on, Juan, how do you think outsourcing is affecting the economy today?
Yes, outsource affects the economy greatly. It saves money for companies, generating more investing opportunities, which is beneficial to the economy and leads to more Americans to hold their jobs at a higher level. This practice offers us substantial gains to the U.S. economy with cheaper imports, which are the products or services obtained abroad, and stronger exports, which are the products assembled in the U.S. and later on exported at higher prices. Another supportive argument is that outsourcing generates jobs in other less developed countries, helping their economy, which leads to increased trades with the U.S. products. It also gives those countries the ability to pay to the U.S. Their debts. This is why I'm for outsourcing.
Thank you, Juan. Last but not least, David, how do you think the outsourcing affecting the economy today?
Thank you, Kevin. How do I think that outsourcing affects the economy today? Well, By outsourcing to different countries, we're able to reduce cost of production, as I previously mentioned. Therefore, our products are cheaper. We sell them at cheaper prices inside our nation. We are marketing our products outside just by outsourcing them to different countries. On the other hand, it affects the U.S. economy because we do take away jobs that many Americans could be doing at this time. This affects the economy in the way that unemployment ratio increases by a little bit, whereas the problem here lies if by selling cheaper products, people in our consumeristic personality does purchase this product where money is being made. However, by losing jobs, we have less money in our pockets. That is why I am neither against nor in favor of outsourcing.
Thank you, David. At some point, to tell you guys that discussion part of this is over. I would like to thank the great panels we had today, and I would like to thank the audience for patiently waiting and listening to everything. I hope you guys have learned a lot. And just going back and doing a quick recap on what we learned today, Daniel said he's for outsourcing because it helps create a more global business market in today's world. Next, Gall said that he is against outsourcing because of the financial and ethical problems that was created. Next, Juan Bernay said he's for outsourcing because it reduces the cost of production and lets the company focus on the core activities to make the company better as a whole. And last but not least, David Kitson said that he's neither for or against outsourcing because it reduces production costs, but also gives away jobs to different countries. So at this time, I would like to open the field for the Q&A section of the part. It'll be 5 minutes long. I would like to ask you guys to ask anything you have to the panelists. Go ahead, guys.
Hey, Gal. Gal. If you believe outsourcing is bad for the American people and the economy, how do you recommend that we stop countries from different parts of the world?
So the audience wanted to know, Gall, that if you think if you believe outsourcing is bad for the American people and the economy, how do you recommend that we stop these different countries from swinging jobs?
Thank you for asking. It was a great question. As I stated before, President Obama already has a plan in hand that would minimize the amount of companies that outsource to different countries. He wants to provide a tax break for the companies that decide to keep the jobs in America rather than outsource the jobs to different countries around the world. So the way to stop companies from outsourcing is to essentially give them more benefits, give them tax breaks, give them little perks here and there to encourage them to stay in America rather than outsource. This has become a huge debate in the past couple of years, and I truly hope that this is the right path to keep outsourcing in America rather than to different countries.
Thank you, Gall.
Okay, I have a question for Daniel. Why do you think so many companies choose to outsource to China?
Daniel, the question's for you. So why do you think a lot of companies choose outsourcing to China?
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons for that, but there are probably two major ones. First of all, China has a massive workforce. According to the CIA fact book circa 2009, we have over 780 million workers in China. That's more than twice the entire US population. So with so many people to choose from, we don't have a hard time finding a lot of talented workers who can do jobs as well, or in some cases better, than anyone anywhere else in the world. Another incentive would be for any company that wanted to outsource to China is that our workers are often willing to accept lower wages than their foreign counterparts. So that would keep a company's costs down and would just be overall better for them from a business standpoint. And I'd say those are the two biggest reasons why one would outsource to China.
Thank you, Daniel. Anybody else?
This question is for Juan. What are the core and support activities of a company?
So Juan, the audience member wants to know what are the core activities and support activities for the company.
Okay, and in the business practice, there are two kind of tasks mainly. There are the core activities and the support activities. The core activities will be the key areas, the activities or the tasks that consume major resources, such as time. It's a lot of time consuming and consumes a lot of assets from the company, and will determine how business will perform. The support activities will be those tasks that only assist the business process, but it will also absorb a reasonable amount of time and assets from the company. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you, Juan.
I have a question for David. Is outsourcing living up to its expectations?
So David, he wants to know whether outsourcing is living up to expectations.
That's a pretty interesting question to begin with. I believe it is living up to its expectations in the way, as I mentioned during our panel discussion, we are lowering the cost of production to many companies. It could be customer service, it could be the cost of production of the actual product, it could be just labor workforce. That is a positive impact on the company's revenue. On the other hand, it's also living up to its expectations in the negative aspects because we are taking high-end jobs away from America and moving them into Asia, Europe, and South America.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, today this will be it for the panel discussion on topic outsourcing. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for coming out.